I should have known better than to make a joke like that. But that night, the words just slipped out before I could stop them. We were sitting around a table, me, Caleb, and his best friend, Noah. The three of us had been close for years, though lately the tension between Caleb and me had settled into the spaces where laughter used to live. Silence had become so normal that it felt like we were waiting for someone to finally give up. Noah made some offhand comment about relationships, something about couples losing their spark once they got married. I can't even remember what triggered it, but I laughed and said, "Well, maybe that's because your best friend knows my body better than you do." Everything stopped. Noah froze mid-sip, eyes wide, and Caleb's fork hovered in the air. I brushed my hair behind my ear, forcing a laugh. "Relax. I'm kidding." But Caleb didn't even blink. Not a smile. Not a twitch. Just this cold, sharp stare, like he was looking at a stranger. The air suddenly felt heavier, like the room itself was holding its breath. Noah cleared his throat, trying to steer the moment somewhere safer, but Caleb shoved his chair back and stood. "You think that's funny?" he asked, voice low and controlled, too controlled. My throat tightened. "Caleb, it was just a stupid joke." "Is it?" he cut in, his tone slicing through the room, because it sounded pretty damn specific to me. Noah mumbled something about heading out, but Caleb didn't look at him. He simply turned toward the kitchen, jaw clenched. I followed him, trying to explain, but he stopped me with a raised hand. "I've heard enough," he said quietly, more than I ever wanted to. He never came to bed that night. I lay awake, listening to the sound from the refrigerator, thinking about how a single careless sentence could open a wound I didn't even know existed. In the morning, the coffee pot was full, untouched. His keys were gone. And sitting beside my half-finished cup from a night before was his wedding ring. For the first 2 days, I convinced myself he just needed time. Caleb had always liked to cool down alone. But by day 3, the silence felt different, cold, intentional. He didn't answer my calls, didn't reply to my texts. Even Noah stopped responding, and that silence stung more than I wanted to admit. I kept replaying the moment at the dinner table. The way Caleb's eyes shifted when those words left my mouth, that mix of disbelief and hurt. I hadn't meant it. Noah and I had been close long before Caleb came along. There was never anything between us. But the way it sounded, it carried its own poison. That evening, I drove to Caleb's workshop in Bend, Oregon. His car was outside, but when I walked in, he barely looked up. "You shouldn't be here," he said, voice flat and distant. "I need to explain," I whispered. He finally lifted his eyes. They were rimmed with exhaustion. "Explain what?" "That my wife thinks my best friend knows her body better than I do." His bitterness stung, so sharply I flinched. "It was a joke, Caleb. You know how I get when I'm nervous." "No," he snapped, slamming a wrench onto the table. "I don't know who you are anymore, and maybe that's the real problem." I swallowed hard, fighting the burn of tears. "You're twisting this into something it's not." "Am I?" His voice cracked slightly, because Noah's been distant lately too. Makes me wonder why he couldn't even look at me that night. My heart dropped. "Don't do this." You know Noah wouldn't. "I thought I knew you too," he said softly, turning his gaze away. Neither of us spoke for a long moment. Only the faint clinking of tools filled the space between us. When I stepped closer, he stepped back, widening the distance. "Go home," he murmured. "Just go." I left, but something in me shattered. Back home, I opened my phone and stared at Noah's last message, sent a week earlier. "We probably shouldn't hang out so much anymore. Caleb's starting to notice things." I froze. Notice things? What things? There had never been anything inappropriate. But suddenly every harmless text, every shared joke, every comfortable moment felt heavier in hindsight. That's when I realized the damage wasn't just done. It was unfixable. The next morning, unable to take the uncertainty any longer, I drove straight to Noah's apartment in Redmond. He looked surprised to see me, pale, tired, uneasy. "Len, you shouldn't be here," he said immediately, glancing behind me like Caleb might appear out of nowhere. "I just need to know," I whispered. "What did you mean by that message? What is Caleb noticing?" Noah hesitated, dragging a hand through his hair. He's been suspicious for a while, he finally admitted. The way we joke, the way we talk, how natural we are together. He thinks there's something between us. My stomach twisted. There isn't. I know, he said softly. But after what you said that night, he exhaled slowly. It sounded real, Lauren. You looked him right in the eye. Anyone would have believed it. Tears welled in my eyes. I was trying to make him laugh. We've been so tense. I just wanted to break the mood. Noah shook his head. Instead, you lit a fuse. We stood there in the hallway. Two people caught in the fallout of one stupid sentence. Then he added quietly, Caleb called me yesterday. He told me not to contact you again. That hurt more than I expected. The man I loved didn't just stop trusting me. He was cutting me off from the one person who understood the context. I left without another word. When I got back home, the house felt hollow. Caleb had taken most of his clothes, his tools, even his favorite coffee mug. On the counter lay a folded note. My hands trembled as I opened it. I loved you enough to believe your words were just careless. But I can't live in a home where every silence feels suspicious. Maybe one day you'll understand what that joke cost us. I sat at the kitchen table, holding the note to my chest, realizing just how fragile love truly is. How one thoughtless line meant to ease tension can echo louder than years of affection. Weeks went by. Caleb never returned. And I kept replaying that night, the laughter, the stillness, the moment everything changed. Sometimes I still hear his voice, tired and hurt. You think that's funny? No, Caleb. It wasn't. It never was.